Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today sit a while for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. Alright, so we are sitting second in the East right now, with one game on hand on first place Pittsburgh Penguins, and we are 2 points behind, so a win in that extra game that we have would put us on equal footing with them. We have a little bit of an injury problem. Thankfully, most of the injuries are day-to-day. Well, injuries slash sickness. Erik Karlsson is sick. They didn't specify what, but he's sick. So Bergeron, Eves, and Karlsson are all going to be coming back soon-ish. Anton Volchenkov now has a timetable on his return, which is going to be 3 to 4 months. And since we're in December, that's pretty much at the end of the season. So today is going to be December of 2010. Looks like it's going to be a pretty busy month. And we're going to go ahead and get into that again. I checked. There was an interesting player, but he plays for Montreal, so I don't want to trade them something valuable. But Montreal put Francois Beauchemin on the trading block. He's a 3-star defenseman, but I probably would have to part with a decent young player. I don't want to give them that. They are already good enough as it is, so I'm gonna have to pass. But yeah, there was actually a player that I thought about, just plays for the wrong team. Alrighty, so let's get started. So tomorrow we're gonna start. So we're in the midst of a homestand, playing. I think it was 4 straight. So we played 2 in at the end of November, and now we have 2 games at the start of December. Then looks like it's gonna be kind of a split between home and away games here in December. So we are going to be hosting the Sharks tomorrow. Alright, so Cal Clutterbuck with the Wild is not suspended, so still in the lineup over there. Eugene Melnick is very happy with my work. I went 11-2-1 in November. Alright. Okay, so none of those guys are coming back for this game, so we're using all of our spares. Hopefully we don't get any more injuries. We cannot sustain one more without having to call somebody back up. So the Sharks are 12-10-1 this season, so it's respectable but not great. Let's take a look. We have not played them so far. Couple injuries there. So Josh Gorges is hurt, so he's not going to play that game, and Yannick Leroux is also not going to be playing this game. He is on injured reserve. Alright, so in net we have Thomas Greisch, whom we might be able to see in the playoffs this year in real life, and Mika Kiprusov. So that's decent goaltending. Kiprusov is starting to decline a little bit. He's 34 years old. Then on D we have Brad Stewart, Nicholas Wallen, Letanen, Karl Kulikov, Kronwall, Potter, and Hannon. So kind of a mixed bag on D. Craig Gotch, Rutu, Stahlberg, Plehall, Kutcher, Ennis, Fair, Kozlov, Letestu, McCulloch, Pavelski, and Mayer. On forward, so the forwards are okay. The D is, I guess it's kind of a mixed bag. It's not great, it's not too terrible. I wouldn't be happy with that D. And the goaltending is okay, so I guess that record is kind of reflective of what I'm seeing on their lineup. Alright, so the Sharks are in town. We have some injuries. Hopefully we can manage to win regardless. So Mika Kiprusov is going to be in net for the Sharks. We are going with Brian Elliott. Go Sens, go! Alright, so we start the month with a 3-1 victory at home. We outshot the Sharks 46-15. Jason Spezza was the first star. He had 2 assists. It's Corey Potter, I think. Yeah, Corey Potter had the second star with an assist, and Alexander Radulov was the third star with 2 assists. 16,990 people in attendance for that game, so Brooks Like opened up the scoring in the first period from Jason Spezza and Drew Doughty, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, we have Joe Thornton scoring on the power play from Jason Spezza and Alexander Radulov. Then the Sharks scored, made it 2-1 Sens after 2. And then finally in the third period, Matt Stajan scored the insurance marker from Martin Ansel and Alexander Radulov. It was 3-1 Sens. That's how that game ended. So there's a few messages there. I hope it's not more injuries. And it is. Oh, yeah, he's going to need to go on injured reserve. So Matt Unwick got hurt in that game. He has a broken hand, and he's going to be out for 8 weeks. So our D is starting to be a little depleted. And Martin Ansel converts to right wing. Wait, there were more than just one injury in there. Ryan Whitney is hurt as well. He's day-to-day, though. Alright, let's start with Unwick. Alright, so let's take a look. Because if Carlson or Whitney is fine for the next game, I don't have to recall another defenseman. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to. Alright, so who do I have? Oh, I don't have a lot of D's down there. It's gonna be 1 of 5. So I have Lucas Sbiza, I have Borokop, I have Jared Cowan, I have Eric Greiber, and I have Brian Lee. I might recall Jared Cowan. I hate to do that because his handedness is wrong in the game. Or maybe I recall Brian Lee. Yeah, let's recall Brian Lee. At least his handedness is the right one. Alright, and then I'm gonna... Oh man. Look at all those injuries. We're usually pretty lucky with injuries. I usually don't get too many of them. There was no stopping Vili Peltonen, who had a hat-trick against the Rangers. So 37 years old, former Ottawa Senator Vili Peltonen is still putting up points. Alright, Brian Lee wants a number. He wants number 15. I guess you can have it. Yeah, I'm gonna need to move forward one more day, and if I don't have one of those 2 defensemen, maybe I should pick up Martin Skula here for free. Nah, I won't do that. And so Mike Matteau is available, and Mark Hartigan, sorry, available as well. So Petrus Bergeron is getting closer to return, but not one of my defensemen. Oh, so who do I send? Who do I put on injured reserve? I think it's gonna have to be Ryan Whitney with knee soreness. Carlson has the flu. Yeah, I hate to do that, but I need a body in the lineup. Alright, I guess I'll recall Cowan. even if his handedness is wrong. Alright, so yeah, let's get going, huh? Oh, I went a little fast there. We're playing the Buffalo Sabres. I'm sorry, I forgot to check where they are. I went to... oh, I guess I can click on leave game, huh? There you go. Alright, so we are playing the Buffalo Sabres. Guess what? So they are 11-14-1 this season. That's good for 9th in the East, and we are 2-0 against them. Both games were 5-1 wins for us. Right, now we're going to go ahead and play that game for real. Alright, so Mikael Telquist is going to be in net for Buffalo. We're going to Brian Elliott. So we don't have quite our, A-team right now. The A-team's all banged up. So let's see what we can do, especially with, Brian Lee and Jared Cowan in the lineup. And we lost 3-2. See, all of those injuries are starting to catch up to us. So Buffalo beat us 3-2. We outshot Buffalo 37-28. And Daniel Paye was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Jason Spezza was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Jason Pominville was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. We had 17,195 people in attendance for that game. So Buffalo scored first. Then we had Jason Spezza tied the game from Pavel Datsyuk and Marinosa, and then Buffalo scored again, and they were up 2-1 after one. Then they went up 3-1 in the second period, but then Joe Thornton scored his 15th goal of the season. That was a power play taddy from Jason Spezza, 3-2 after 2, and that's how the game ended. Oh, there's a lot of news here. Hopefully we have good news on the injury front. Crosby is day-to-day with an injury. Okay. So he might miss a few games. Denis Harkipov has a strong game. He had a hat-trick against the Oilers. Suspension for Kyle Clifford in LA. He is going to miss a game. Daniel Alfredson has played in 1,250 games. Didn't get a point to celebrate that. That was against the Kings. And Alfie, 37 years old, still a 2-star player. Yeah, he slowed down quite a bit. Last year he had only 30 points. Brian Rolston also played in 1,250 games. Didn't get a point either. That happened against the Flyers. 37 years old Brian Rolston, still a New Jersey Devil and a 2-star player. Good game for Claude Giroux in that game for the Flyers. He had a 4-goal game. Look at that. So Flyers and Devils faced off, and Claude Giroux got 4 goals. Alright, Petrus Bergeron's feeling better. Patrick Eves is feeling better. And Jared Cowan wants number 22. That's weird. Well, I can't give you number 2, so I'll give you number 3. Yeah, Carlson's still out with the flu. At least Bergeron and Eves can play now. Alright, so we are playing again. This time we are going to be at Madison Square Garden to play against the Rangers. Rangers are 10-16-2, and that's good for 10th in the East. This is our first game against the Rangers this season. So let's look at their lineup. So Mark Stahl is the captain of the Rangers. He's also hurt and not going to play this game. Right, and so is Thomas Fleischmann. He's also hurt and not going to play. And Henrik Lundqvist is hurt, but he might play this game. That's a playable injury. So in net, it's Lundqvist and Montoya, so that's pretty good. And then on D, we have Mikael Del Zotto, Karish Krashtins, Matt Gilroy, Dan Girardi, Dennis Weidman, Fedor Tsudin, and I think it's Mark or Matt Sauer. No, it's Michael. Got it wrong all along. So the D's alright. There's a good mix there of guys that can move the puck and defensive defensemen, so that's a pretty well-rounded D. Up front we have Fleischmann, Korpikoski, Pisani, Glencross, Anisimov, Koroliak, Stepan, Jackman, Peters, Chichu, Zuccarello, Purcell, Kovalev, and Sharapanov. Alright. So the forwards may be a little bit not that great. Good goaltending, decent D, average forwards. Alright, let's see if we can beat the Rangers with our depleted lineup. And we're sending Antiniemi in net too. And he's going to face the king, Henrik Lundqvist. Ooh, we won 5-0. That's good. We outshot the Rangers 49-20. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Petrus Bergeron was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with 2 assists. Alright, so Jason Spezza opened up the scoring in the first from Pavel Datsyuk and Petrus Bergeron, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. In the second period, we had Petrus Bergeron score from Pavel Datsyuk and Jason Spezza, made it 2-0 Sens. And then in the third period, we had Joe Thornton from Marianosa and Brooks Lake, then Matt Stajan from Sam Gagné and Mike Fisher, and finally Alexander Radulov on the power play from Jason Spezza. And that was a nice 5-0 victory. There was a fight between Tim Jackman and Zdeno Chara. Martin St. Louis has accomplished 300 goals in his career, so still playing in Philly. He had a goal and 2 assists in a game against the Islanders. 35 years old, Martin St. Louis, still a 3.5 star player, so still pretty good. He had 69 points last season, so maybe he didn't quite develop, you know, to be as good as it was in real life, but 69 points in 78 games is nothing to sneeze at. A dynamic passing leads to productive night for Jeff Carter. In that same game, he had 4 assists. Alright, scouting report. Petrus Bergeron is almost 100%. Patrick Eves is almost recovered, and Erik Karlsson might be able to play. No, still not yet. Although we have one more day to sim before we land in Montreal to play against the Habs. Petrus Bergeron and Patrick Eves are fully recovered, and Erik Karlsson is thinking about it. Yeah, Karlsson might play now. Good. Alright, so we are in Montreal to play the Habs for the 4th time already this season. Montreal have a pretty good record of 15-9-3, and yet it's only good for 7th in the East. So the Eastern Conference is pretty strong this season. We are 2-1 against Montreal this year, so let's see if we can beat them again. I would hate to split the series against them. Alright, and we're going to Antiniemi. He had a shutout in his last game, and Carey Price is going to be in net for Montreal. Ha! Another shutout. We beat them 4-0. Take that, Montreal fans. It was in Montreal. We outshot Montreal 48-10. Erik Karlsson was the first star of the game, celebrated his return to the lineup with 3 assists. Jason Spezza was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. So in the first period, we saw Jason Spezza score his 15th of the season from Pavel Datsyuk and Erik Karlsson, and it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Alex Pietrangelo scored from Erik Karlsson and Petrus Bergeron, then Pavel Datsyuk from Jason Spezza, and finally Alexander Radulov on the power play from Erik Karlsson and Joe Thornton. It was 4-0 Sens at that point. Nobody else would score, and that's how this game ended, with a nice 4-0 win. Karel Pilash is back from suspension in Calgary, back in the lineup over there. Same for Gregory Campbell in Florida, back from suspension. Right, and Carlson is on the edge of returning. I think he returned already pretty good. All right, Joe Pavelski has a good game. He had a hat trick against the Flyers. All right, and then Erik Karlsson is primed to return. All right, so we are playing 2 games in 2 nights at home. We are about to host the Rangers, whom we just played and beat 5-0. That was 2 games ago. This time we're playing at home. So now the Rangers are 10-17-2, and they are still 10th in the East. We are obviously 1-0 against them. We just beat them. It's going to be Henrik Lundqvist in net for the Rangers. We're still going with Antiniemi because he had another shutout, so why not? And makes sense to me. Oh boy. Alright, so we massacred the Rangers 11-1. Whew. Alright, that's gonna take me a second to go through that. So we outshot the Rangers 53-15. Brooks Like was the first star of the game. He had a hat trick. Erik Karlsson was the second star with a goal and 4 assists. So he has what, 5 plus 3, 8 points in 2 games since he came back. Not too shabby. And Pavel Datsyuk was a third star with 2 goals and 2 assists. We had 17,123 very satisfied fans, I am sure. Alright, so we took a small 6-0 lead into the first period. So it started with Pavel Datsyuk scoring from Chris Kelly and Marianosa. Then Alexander Radulov from Drew Doughty and Chris Kelly. Petrus Bergeron from Drew Doughty and Zdeno Chara. Then Erik Karlsson scored his 10th from Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk. Alex Pietrangelo also scored his 10th from Joe Thornton and Erik Karlsson. And finally Jason Spezza from Petrus Bergeron and Pavel Datsyuk. And it was 6-0 Sens after 1. The New York Rangers' morale was probably down in the toilet at that point. And in the second period, Marianosa scored his 5th from Erik Karlsson, and Joe Thornton. Then Pavel Datsyuk from Jason Spezza and Petrus Bergeron. And it was 8-0 Sens after 2. Alright, and then in the third period, Brooks Like scored a natural hat trick. So Brooks Like scored his first goal from Erik Karlsson and Joe Thornton. Then he scored his 5th of the season, 2nd of the game, from Erik Karlsson and Joe Thornton. And then completed the natural hat trick from Andre Meszaros and Brian Lee. And then with 1:24 left to go in the game, the Rangers scored a goal just to say that Niemi wasn't going to get a 3rd shutout in a row. And there was another fight between Chara and Tim Jackman again in the 3rd period when it was already a decided game. So yeah, pretty interesting game. Pretty big offensive output. Strong night for Erik Karlsson. He had a goal and 4 assists. Strong night for Brooks Like. He had a hat trick. And a night to remember for Joe Thornton. He had 4 assists. That was a pretty good game. Alright, and hopefully we kept some goals in the tank here, because we are playing again, this time against the New Jersey Devils. Alright, so Yannick Lehoux available on waivers, David Van Der Gulik available, and Stéphane Veilleux available again. Alright, so Kyle Clifford is back from suspension with the Kings. Rod Brind'Amour is not suspended with the Flyers, so he gets to stay in the lineup. Jason Garrison extends his goal streak to 5 games in Florida. He had a goal against the Washington Capitals. And in that same game, Christian Uzelius had a good game. He had 3 goals and an assist. Alright, and we are about to play the New Jersey Devils. So the Devils are 11-13-3. They are 8th in the East, even though they have a losing record. We have not played the Devils so far, so let's take a look at that lineup here. Oh, we have a few injuries. So Ansi Salmela is hurt, not gonna play. Same for Freddie Meyer, not gonna play. And Antoine Vermette is hurt, also not going to play this game. Alright, so let's look at who is actually going to play. Martin Brodeur and Ray Emery in net, so that's decent. Although Brodeur is 38 now, so he's still a 3.5-star goaltender, but maybe not as dominant. Curtis Foster, Bruno Gervais, Mark Fain, Mark Fraser, Mark Streit, Tyler Eckford. Lots of Marks on their D. And Tyler Eckford on D. Yeah, the D is not all that great, but Mark Streit found a home in New Jersey. Oh, he's having a decent season for them. 16 points in 27 games. Alright, and on 4, so the D is not that great. So past Mark Streit, there's not a whole lot there. And then at forward, we have a pretty young Adam Enrique. Then Brian Giunta, DiSalvatore, Palmieri, Spilo, Giunta, Madden, Maki, Kalinski, Gomez, Nolan, Elischuk, Parisi, Rolston, and Berg fours. So a few holes on forward as well. A few decent players as well. Yeah, we should be able to beat the Devils. Martin Brodeur is going to be in net for New Jersey, and we are going back to Brian Elliott, who got to sit the last 3 games because Niemi was kind of in a hot streak. And we won 2-1. Not an easy game at home against the Devils. We outshot them 44-18. Martin Brodeur was the first star despite the loss. He made 42 saves. Brandon Nolan was a second star with an assist, and Petrus Bergeron was the third star with a goal. 17,886 people in attendance for this game. Chris Kelly scored first in the first period. That was his 5th of the season from Joe Thornton. It was 1-0 Sens after 1. And then nobody scored in the second, and all the way in the third period, New Jersey actually tied the game, but then Petrus Bergeron scored unassisted on the power play with 1:35 to go in the game, and 2-1 was the final score. Ooh, we didn't take a single penalty in this game. We were very disciplined. Derek Meach in Carolina is suspended. He's going to miss 6 games. BJ Crombeen in Dallas is not suspended, so he's not going to be missing any time there. Alright. Oh, so the Bruins extended Ryan Metter, and they are going to pay him $4.350 a year to warm the bench, apparently. That was a 2-year extension for Ryan Miller, so yeah, he's played in a whopping 7 games this season. He's been bad. Whew, looks like I dodged a bullet, and I didn't, you know, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't do that on purpose. That's crazy. Maybe they just have really bad defense or something. Alright, so in a couple days we are also going to play at home again against the Atlanta Thrashers. Good night for Mike Camilleri in LA. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Wild. Benoit Pouliot extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal against the Kings in that same game. Prolific passing night for Sami Salo in that same game with the Kings, 4 assists for him. And Nikolai Antropov in Toronto is suspended. He's going to miss a game. All right. There we go. Ryan Whitney is starting to feel better. I had to put somebody on injured reserve. So I went with the one that I felt was not going to come back as fast as the other one, and it looks like I picked right, actually. Alright, so Atlanta is in town, so they are still really good at 27-3. That's good for 4th in the East. We are 1-0 against the Trashers this season. So Kari Lehtonen is going to be in net for Atlanta. We are going to Brian Elliott. And we won 5-2, so both games against Atlanta were 5-2 victories at home for us. We outshot them this time 42-18. Marian Osa was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Brooks Like was the second star with an assist. And Joe Thornton, third star with a goal. We had 16,802 people in attendance in Ottawa. Drew Doughty opened up the scoring in the first from Zdeno Oshar and Patrick Eves, then Eric Carson from Alexander Radulov, Joe Thornton from Marian Osa and Brooks Lake, and finally Marian Osa scored on the power play from Jason Spezza and Alexander Radulov, and it was 4-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Atlanta actually scored 2 goals and came to within 2, and that was 4-2 Sens after 2. But in the third period, we had Pavel Datsyuk score his 15th of the season on the power play from Alex Pietrangelo and Jason Spezza, and it was 5-2. And that's how this game concluded. Oh, Patrick Caletta is available from the Kings, and so is Alexander Sulzer. And Ryan Whitney might be back soon. How many more days does he have to stay there? Oh, just 2, so I got it right, actually. He's going to be ready, like, right on time to go and play in Minnesota. Alright, so there's been an injury in Edmonton. Jarrett Stahl is hurt. He's going to miss 6 months, so that's pretty much season over for Jarrett Stahl. Oh, that's a concussion, so that's not good. Nick Antropov is back in the lineup in Toronto after serving his suspension. Alright, and we're going to have Ryan Whitney. Probably, no, he's not ready, I don't think. No, he's not. So he's going to probably play in Colorado the next day, maybe. Big game for Peter Tatsisek, sorry. He had a hat-trick against the Carolina Hurricanes. Mike Komisarek is back from suspension with the Flyers. Oleg Terodovsky got 500 assists in his career with an assist against the Vancouver Canucks. 34 years old, Oleg Terodovsky, still a 2-star player. Plays for Columbus now in my universe. Alright, so we are going to be playing in Minnesota against the Wild. The Wild have a pretty good record. They are 21-6-2. That's pretty good. Let's take a look at that pretty good lineup. No injuries. And, oh, Matt Lombardi is not in good shape. Alright, so in net it's Nicholas Backstrom and Jose Theodore, so that's okay. On D we have Nick Ledé, Nate Gannon, Chris Letang, Nick Schultz, Keith Yandel, and Clayton Stoner, Dustin Bufflin, Brent Burns, and Ron Ainsey. Wow, that D's pretty good and scary and big. Especially those two here, Bufflin and Burns. They are both 25 years old, both really good, really big. Oof. And then at forward we have David Clarkson, Brandon Dubinsky, Benoit Pouliot, Francis Wattier, Patrick Bordelot, Patrick Eliash, Matt Cullen, Matthew Lombardi, Cal Clutterbuck, Marianne Gaborik, Ian Laperriere, and Pierre-Marc Bouchard. So yeah, the D's really good. Forwards are not bad, but not great. Goaltending kind of the same. But they have a really good record. that D must be winning them some games. So we are going to send Brian Elliott in net. We're going to face Nicholas Backstrom in that one. And we won 6-0. There you go. We outshot Minnesota 34-23. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Jason Spezza was a second star with a goal and 2 assists as well. And the third star was Patrice Bergeron with 2 goals. Alright, so Alexander Radulov opened up the scoring in the first. That was his 10th on the power play from Jason Spezza and Alex Pietrangelo. Then Patrice Bergeron scored. It was also his 10th and also on the power play from Chris Kelly and Marian Hossa, and it was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Brooks Like scored from Joe Thornton and Marian Hossa, then Pavel Datsyuk from Jason Spezza and Drew Doughty, and finally Patrice Bergeron from Pavel Datsyuk. And 5-0 was the score after 2. And then we weren't done. We had one more in the tank. Jason Spezza scored in the third period from Zdeno Chara and Pavel Datsyuk. 6-0. The score against the Wild. And Ryan Whitney returns so that he can play against the Colorado Avalanche. Alright. So we're going to bring him back in the lineup. And we're going to send down Jared Cowan. There we go. Right, and we are now going to play in Colorado against the Avalanche. So Avalanche is 17-12-2, so that's respectable. And we have not played them, so let's take a look here. Alright, so TJ Ensick is hurt, but he might play that game. And then we have Joey McDonald and Kalishnik in net. That's not good, so they don't have very good goaltending, and they're paying Joey McDonald $2.14 million a year. Oof. That's a lot for a one-star goaltender. On D, it's Kyle Comiskey, Kevin Shattenkirk, Johnny Boychuk, Roman Amerlik, Stefan Elliott, Holos, and that's it. It's average D. Then up front we have Ladislav Nagy, Martinson, Tanguay, Verbata, Darsh, Duchesne, Lynchka, Malhotra, McCormick, Jones, O'Reilly, Ensick, Richardson, Stewart, and Winchester. So D is average, goaltending is not very good. Forwards are pretty good. So it's an offensive team. Let's see if they can score some goals against us. We're going to Brian Elliott. They have Joey McDonald in net. And we won 4-1. We outshot them 35-26. Pavel Datsyuk was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Erik Karlsson was the second star with 2 assists as well. Jason Spezza was the third star with 2 goals. Alright, so Colorado scored first in the first period, but then we scored 3 unanswered. Brooks Like from Patrick Eves and Joe Thornton, then Jason Spezza from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrice Bergeron, and then Mike Fisher with assists from Alex Pietrangelo and Erik Karlsson. It was 3-1 Sens after 1. And then in the third period, we have Jason Spezza scoring on the power play from Erik Karlsson and Pavel Datsyuk. And 4-1 was the final score. Nobody scored in the second. There weren't any fights. So, pretty clean 4-1 victory in Colorado. Right, so Stéphane Veilleux is once again available on waivers. He's been on waivers all season, it feels like. And then Tommy Mackey as well. I'm not picking them up. Alright, and tomorrow we are going to be hosting the Washington Capitals. Alright, so the Capitals are in town. They have a pretty good record. They are 21-10-3. That's good for 4th in the East. We are 1-0 against Washington this season. So let's go ahead and beat them again. Right, so Tuukka Rask is going to be in net for Washington. We are going to Brian Elliott. Oh yeah, that's true. Tuukka Rask was hurt. That's why he didn't play so many games. He was put on injured reserve, and then I was like, man, they have the goaltending there. They have Braden Holtby, and I forget who else they have. Oh, Semyon Varlamov. Yeah, they have 3 good goaltenders. They should trade one. That's what I would do. And we beat them 5-0. Alright, so we outshot the Capitals 50-13. Zdeno Chara was the first star of the game. He had 3 assists. Drew Doughty was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Alexander Radulov was the third star with 2 assists. Alright, so Chris Kelly opened up the scoring in the first from Erik Karlsson and Alexander Radulov. And it was 1-0 Sens after 1. Drew Doughty scored in the second from Zdeno Chara and Joe Thornton. Then Jason Spezza scored his 20th of the season from Zdeno Chara and Sam Gagner. And then Spezza scored again from Drew Doughty and Zdeno Chara, and it was 4-0 after 2. And then in the third period, Patrick Eves scored from Chris Kelly and Alexander Radulov, and it was a 5-0 victory. There was a fight between Alexander Radulov and Matt Hendricks. Wow. Radulov, not the biggest of fighters, but he's got some compete level in him, so I can see him having to drop the gloves if something is not to his liking. Joe Thornton extends his point streak to 12 games in that game with his assist. Good job. Good job for Jumbo Joe. Alright, so, oh, we have a little bit of a break here. So, in 4 days, we're going to be playing in Nashville. No one could stop Thomas Kopecky. He had a hat-trick against the Kings. Alright, Aaron McKenzie is available on waivers. He's gonna stay there. At least I'm not picking him up. Oh, not a whole lot going on. Not a lot of news. Alright, so Jan Bulish arrived at 1,000 games in his career. That happened against the Blackhawks. And didn't get a point. Jan Bulish is 32 and he's only an alpha star player now. So pretty much about to be over there for Jan Bulish in Nashville with his career. I wouldn't be surprised if he were to retire soon. Alright, so speaking of Nashville, that's where we are right before Christmas. So we are going to be playing against the Predators. They have a pretty good record. They are 28-5. We have not played them in the regular season. So the oh, yeah, that's true. Ryan Suter is hurt for a while, so we're not going to be facing him, but they have other injuries here. Kevin Klein is also hurt, so is Martin Erat, not going to play. Patrick Arnquist may or may not play. He's hurt, but it's a playable injury. Alright, so Picarini is in net for Nashville with Chad Johnson. Then Dan Amius, Kevin Klein, Nathan Page, Roman Yossi, Shea Weber, Marek Zidlicki, and Anton Babchuk. That's still a pretty good D, even without Ryan Suter. Steve Bernier, Scott Hartnell, Vernon Fiddler, Todd White, Jan Bulish, David Legwan, Brandon Reed, Nick Spaling, Colin Wilson, John Paul, Chris Mueller, and Patrick Arnquist, and Gabriel Bork. Yeah, pretty good team, even with the injuries. So we're going to send Brian Elliott right before Christmas, and he's going to face Chad Johnson, actually. They're not going to send Picarini against us. And we won 4-3. So pretty tight affair here in Nashville. We outshot them 34-20. Joe Thornton was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Brendan Reed was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Alexander Radulov was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. So we have Alex Pietrangelo opening up the scoring in the first on the power play from Alexander Radulov and Joe Thornton. Then Nashville scored twice, and Nashville was up 2-1 after one. Then in the second period, Eric Carson tied the game from Pavel Datsyuk and Drew Doughty, and then Alexander Radulov from Patrick Eves and Ryan Whitney. It was 3-2 Sens at that point, but then Nashville tied the game at 3 before the end of the period, so we went into the third frame tied at 3. And early in the third period, Joe Thornton scored the game winner from Brooks Like. It was 4-3, nobody else would score, so 4-3 was the final score. And of course, with his goal and assist, Joe Thornton now has a point streak of 13 games. Alright, and now it's the Christmas break, and we're going back home, and we're going to play 2 games at home after Christmas. Derek Meach is back from suspension in Carolina, so back in the lineup over there. Robin Regier is suspended with Dallas. He's going to miss 6 games. Peter Pruka in Edmonton is not suspended. They looked at him, but not suspended. Tim Jackman in New York is suspended. He's going to miss 6 games. And Joe Pavelski extends his assist streak to 8 games with a goal and an assist against Phoenix. Alright, so it is now officially Christmas. And as a great Christmas gift, Joel Lundqvist was put on waivers. Merry Christmas, Joel. You're put on waivers. Alright, so we have 3 more games here in December. It starts tomorrow against Pittsburgh. Oh, Brad Larson, former Ottawa Senator, is put on waivers by Montreal. Alright, so Pittsburgh is in town. We have a little bit of a lead now on them at top of the conference for now. They are still really good. They are 27-6-3, and they are second in the East. We lost both games against Pittsburgh. Both games were in Pittsburgh, though, so maybe that one we're going to win at home. Alright, so Marc-Andre Fleury is going to be in net for Pittsburgh. We are going to Brian Elliott. Oh yeah, we won 5-0, so we were able to contain Crosby, Malkin, and Jagger. Look at us. So we outshot Pittsburgh 55-14. Patrice Bergeron was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Marian Hossa was the second star with 2 assists, and Pavel Datsyuk was the third star with 2 assists as well. 16,699 people came to this game. That was right after Christmas. Patrice Bergeron opened up the scoring in the first from Pavel Datsyuk and Ryan Whitney. Then Joe Thornton scored from Marian Hossa. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. Then nobody scored in the second, and in the third period we had Alexander Radulov score on the power play from Alex Pietrangelo and Jason Spezza, then Zdeno Chara from Joe Thornton and Marian Hossa, and finally Jason Spezza from Pavel Datsyuk and Patrice Bergeron. It was 5-0. The final score. Take that, Pittsburgh. And of course, with his goal and assist, Joe Thornton is now at 14 games with at least 1 point. Alright, and we are about to host the Carolina Hurricanes in 3 days. Alright, so Don Sweeney might lose his job as the coach for the Rangers. So Rangers are 13-22-2, so it looks like they might get rid of Don Sweeney there. Joe Pavelski extends his assist streak to 9 games with an assist against the Kings. Oh, Brendan Morrow is suspended with the Stars. He's going to miss 6 games. Ladislav Schmid is not suspended with Anaheim. Oh, Pat Burns, still the coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been the coach there ever since I started the playthrough. Might lose his job as a coach now. They are 14-20-1. And strong game for Jeff Carter, who had 4 goals against the Canucks. Yeah, that's a pretty good game. Alright, so we are about to play against the poor Carolina Hurricanes. They are the worst team in the East. They are 8-25-2. We are 2-0 against Carolina this season. Right, Cam Ward is going to be in net for the Hurricanes. We are sending Brian Elliott. And we won 7-3. Oh boy, we outshot the Hurricanes 79-10. Chris Kelly was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 3 assists. Drew Doughty was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Jason Spezza was the third star with 2 goals. We had 17,293 people in attendance for this game, and believe it or not, with all of those goals, none were scored in the first period. The second period was very busy though, so Patrick Eves scored from Zdeno Chara and Chris Kelly, then Chris Kelly from Patrick Eves, then Carolina scored, so it was 2-1 for us. Then Patrice Bergeron scored from Brooks Laich and Joe Thornton, and then Drew Doughty scored his 10th on the power play from Chris Kelly and Patrice Bergeron. It was 4-1 Sens at that point. And then the Hurricanes scored, made it 4-2, and then we scored 2 more goals. Jason Spezza from Ryan Whitney and Pavel Datsyuk, and then Chris Kelly from Sam Gagner and Drew Doughty. 6-2 after 2. And all of those goals were scored in the second period so far. Then in the third period, the Hurricanes scored, but then Jason Spezza scored from Erik Karlsson and Chris Kelly, and 7-3 was the final score. Pretty offensive game for us again. And of course, with his assist, Joe Thornton is now at 15 straight games with a point. Alright, and we have one more game to play before the end of the month, and it's going to be in Columbus against the Blue Jackets on New Year's Eve. Alright, Conciola and Sheldon Brookbank are available. Joe Pavelski extends his point streak to 12 games with a goal and an assist against the Wild, and that was 10 straight with an assist for him. Alright, and Joe Pavelski extends his point streak to 13 games with a goal against Chicago, which means that his assist streak ended at 10 games. He had a goal but no assists. Alright, so the player poll. So the best skater is still Jaromir Jagr, even though he's really old. The hardest shot is Erik Karlsson from Ottawa. The smartest player is Martin St. Louis in Philadelphia. The toughest is Tanner Glass in Florida. Fastest is Phil Kessel with the Bruins. The best role model, Jay Bouwmeester. The cleanest is Cam Fowler. The toughest goalie to beat is Brian Elliott. And the coach you'd most like to play for is still Joel Quenneville with the Minnesota Wild. Alright, so we are about to play our last game in December. So it's going to be in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. It's a tough season in Columbus, so they had quite a few good seasons, and they even made it to the Stanley Cup Finals a few years back, but this season they are 12-23-2. Right, so there's a few injuries here. So Stefan Robida is hurt, Rick Nash is hurt, and Brandon Sutter is hurt. So that's a lot of talent on injured reserve there. So in net, they have Manny Legacy and Steve Mason. On D, they have Kent Huskins, Mark Methot, Chris Russell, Oleg Teredovsky, Jay Moore, Rob Scuderi, Adam McQuaid, David Savard, and Steve Montador. So it's an average D. Lindstrom, Zardev, Asham, Brassard, Filppula, Luck, Stashny, Ball, Savard, Voracek, Atkinson, and Moziekin. So decent forwards. Oops, clicked on the wrong button there. Alright, so Columbus is going to send Manny Legacy against us, and we are going with the hardest goalie to beat in the league, Brian Elliott. And we won 8-2. So we outshot Columbus 43-12. Jason Spezza was the first star of the game with 4 assists. Zdeno Chara was the second star with a goal and 2 assists. And Sam Gagner was the third star with a goal. Joe Thornton opened up the scoring early in the first. That was his 20th of the season, and it was on the power play from Eric Carlson and Jason Spezza. Then Columbus tied the game, but then we scored 3 goals unanswered. Zdeno Chara scored unassisted. Then Nikita Filatov scored from Zdeno Chara and Mike Fisher. Sam Gagner from Zdeno Chara 4-1. Sens after 1. Then in the second period, we have Joe Thornton scoring on the power play again from Alexander Radulov and Jason Spezza. Then Ryan Whitney from Jason Spezza and Petris Bergeron. It was 6-1 after 2. And finally, in the third period, Eric Carlson scored from Alex Pietrangelo and Chris Kelly. Then Alexander Radulov scored on the power play from Jason Spezza. It was 8-1. And then Columbus scored, made it 8-2. Obviously, it was too little too late, as 8-2 is our final score. Joe Thornton extends his point streak to 16 games with his 2 goals. And, yep, passes on point for Jason Spezza. He had 4 assists. Alright, we're going to click once more. There we go. So Joel Lundqvist, again, being passed through waivers, this time Happy New Year. Wow, Buffalo is really shitty. And David Tanabe as well, being passed through waivers. Ryan Kessler is injured in Florida. He's going to miss oh god, that's gonna be for a while. That's a broken kneecap. They don't say for how long. Oof. Yeah, he's gonna be gone for a while. A broken kneecap is not something that you recover from in 3 days. I mean, I've never had one, but I had one of my friends that, you know, dislocated his kneecap, and, you know, his knee never recovered fully, so... Alright, so the players of the month are Carey Price in net and Jason Spezza as a forward. Alright, so the month is over. We are first in the East. We have a 6-point lead over Pittsburgh, and we have played the same amount of games, so nobody has an edge there. In the West, what does it look like? So in the West we have Anaheim, Minnesota, Detroit, LA, Nashville, Chicago, Colorado, and San Jose. Alright, the worst team in the league is still the Coyotes, but the Hurricanes are also pretty bad. Alright, let's look at our stats. We have a few guys that had a pretty good month. Well, you know, we scored, what, 11, 7, 8 goals. Yeah, we had a few games where a lot of goals were scored. and that definitely helps. So Jason Spezza has 63 points in 39 games, and then Thornton 49 in 39, Datsyuk 48 in 39, Bergeron 43 in 37. Carlson is still more than a point per game as a rookie defenseman, 41 in 36. And then it starts to dwindle down from there. Radulov is 30 and 33. That's pretty good, almost a point per game. And then it starts to go down from there. So we're looking pretty good here. Now I wonder, with his 63 points, if Spezza took the lead for the scoring race. Alright, so the best goal scorers are Spezza and Matt Moulson. Wow. Oh yeah, Matt Moulson has developed. I remember earlier he was, I believe, a star and a half or maybe 2 stars. Now he's a 3-star player. So, oh yeah, he had 89 points last season. Ooh. So, yeah, 24 goals for both Moulson and Spezza. And Spezza is the best passer with 39 assists. And he is the best scorer right now with 63 points. Jagger is second with 58. And then we have Thornton, that's fourth with 49. Datsyuk is 7th with 48, and Bergeron is 9th with 43. Sidney Crosby is, I mean, not struggling or anything, but by his own standards, he's a little slow here. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. I'm liking the look of that for sure. Alright, so we are going to save the game. And we're going to go ahead and call this a video. It's been over an hour already. That's a long time to be talking to yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for tuning in. And if you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.